course, right now you are rocking with the best. Game Time is the program. Parrish is your host. A variety of voices over the next 60 minutes, starting with a couple of legends, as art and telestrator Mike Fratello and Steve Smith, NBA champion. Hey, I can't believe what happened last night. Thoroughly entertaining game. Of course, some disappointing moments. We're going to get into all of that. But quick thoughts just witnessing what Toronto was able to do winning their first championship.
You know, Coach, I thought they defended better than the defending champs. I thought they played with more force, and they were just more physical than the Golden State Warriors. You know, the injuries obviously is one thing, but I think they just wore down the Warriors.
There's no question they had greater depth, and they were able to do the things that they've been used to doing and wanting to execute, whereas there was so many adjustments that Golden State had to try to make at both ends of the floor, just to free up the guys that could make shots and score for them. It changed their defense at the same time. Obviously, you can't lose players of the magnitude that they did and expect to win a championship, but boy, did they give every ounce that they had in them.
Now, what about legacy? Of course, that's the question that's always asked when we look at Kawhi Leonard. Is he an instant Hall of Famer? When we look at what he was able to do in the finals, going back to the Spurs, is he a first balloter?
He's a Hall of Famer, and I would have to say yes, he's a first ballot guy.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, I think you go back to what he did with the San Antonio Spurs. He's still young. He's 27 years old, but his resume is full with championships, with MVPs, Defensive Player of the Years, All-Stars, All-NBA. I think, you know, obviously we should see more greatness from him from time to come. So I would say definitely he's a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Of course, we know that game was invented by a Canadian. The first NBA game was played north of the border, the country of Canada coming full circle with Toronto winning this championship. But not everything was a celebration for the Raptors. Now, it's alleged that President Masai Ujiri pushed and struck a sheriff's deputy in the face after he was denied access to the court after the game. The sheriff's office classified the incident as battery of an officer, which is a misdemeanor in the state of California. The Raptors released this statement earlier today. Quote, "The incident is being looked at and we are cooperating with authorities. We look forward to resolving this situation. We will keep you updated right here at NBA TV as that situation develops." Now, it's also been reported by multiple sources that the Washington Wizards will offer Ujiri $10 million a season, along with the stake in ownership to leave Toronto to join the Wizards. I mean, he's a hot commodity coach. You see this happening, what he's done, making that big trade, firing the coach of the year, then you bring in a new coach, you win a championship, you make all these deals, winning with no top 10 picks in the draft. Is this a move that you would consider doing if you're Masai at this point?
This is a lot of pressure on this individual because on top of all the things that you just mentioned, you have a team, a city, a franchise that's won its first championship ever, and you're trying to keep the MVP of the finals in the city that you're in. What would happen if next week he ups and says, "I'm gone, I'm going to Washington"? What happens to the Toronto franchise and their relationship with Kawhi Leonard and trying to keep him there? So there's a lot to this decision besides just dollars and cents and part ownerships, if that's true, what the rumors are, that he could perhaps get.
Yeah, I'm with you, Coach. I mean, it's a tough decision. You know, coaches have tough decisions, players, but now you see in the front office executive who have built this team and has done a great job, couldn't get over the hump, make some bold moves. And I thought also making a trade for Marc Gasol, that was a move that was a fantastic move for the Toronto Raptors. And now he got a chance to win this championship. And then, but like you said, the money, the stake in ownership, it's going to be a tough call for Masai, but I will say give Masai a lot of credit. He's done a fantastic job in Toronto, whatever he chooses to do. I mean, he has shown that he's willing to make those bold moves, and they paid off, and I think he's assembled the right type of team for Toronto. I think he's done a good job of putting the right people around to win championships.
Ton of success in Denver, of course, the success that he's had with the Raptors. Now, the Raptors, they successfully ended the Warriors' shot at winning 3 straight titles. However, that wasn't the biggest L the Dubs suffered. Klay Thompson suffered a torn ACL in his left knee in the third quarter of Game 6. Still hate watching this. Now, this is coming off the heels of Kevin Durant, who ruptured his right Achilles tendon in Game 5. Now, both players are expected to miss next season, and both players are expected to be offered max contracts. Earlier today, Steve Kerr and Bob Myers discussed the injury concerns with their impending free agents.
Well, the injury kind of throws everything for a loop. So I have no idea what Kevin's going to do. I know that we all want him back, and we think this is a great situation for him, and vice versa. So hopefully we get him back and keep this thing going with the understanding that he's a free agent, and we want what's best for him, and he's free to make any choice he wants. So hopefully he's back, and we will all give him any advice, any counsel that he needs, and ultimately he's going to make his own decision. He's earned that.
All I'll say is that those guys are highly important to us and deserving of being rewarded in the right manner. So we would, knowing them too as people, those are people that you, beyond what everybody here sees, we get to see a little, the curtain keeps getting more and more open. The media, the fans get to see more and more of us, but there is some stuff you don't see, which we get for ourselves. And so to see those two guys, not just them, but our whole team, it's hard to find high quality people, and both of them are that. And so you try to keep those guys within these walls the best you can.
Definitely will be an uphill climb for the Warriors. Now, as you can see, the players under contract, starting with Steph at top with that $40 million. He's still due to be paid as he continues next season. But the next graphic, we see the players who will not be under contract, including the two up top. Clay is a free agent, unrestricted, and all signs point to KD opting out. Welcome our front office insider, Tom Penn. Now, as far as I recall, we've never seen this type of unique situation. Two All-Stars, two All-NBA caliber players on the same team, both suffer career-altering injuries in the finals heading into free agency. Now, the Warriors organization seems to be doing okay with revenue, but how would they manage potentially paying two max players for a redshirt season? And how would they manage to fill out the rest of the roster?
Yeah, good question. Hard to figure out this quickly. Look, here's how it works. You can always re-sign your own players, whether they're injured or not. And in this case, both guys, as we well know, are eligible for free agency and are seeking max deals. And apparently others are willing to give them full max deals. So you saw this aggressive public move today where they said, we want both of them. And they know full well what that means. And here's what it means. Just a whole ton of money being committed, because the Warriors have all these contracts with Steph Curry, with Iguodala, with Draymond Green. Those all add up to about $80 million. And then you add in others, you're going to get into the $90 millions. Then you start layering on these big, big deals, and it's going to have a major impact on their cap.
Tom, Steve Smith, question for me is, how does all this change if you're the Warriors franchise, if Kevin Durant opts to opt in to his contract and being able to, I guess, to $31 million and then wait to be a free agent, next year?
That would actually save him a few bucks, I think, Smitty, because if he opts in to $31 million, it's on his old contract. They probably get some insurance money. If he opts out and they re-sign him, they got to start him on a new deal at $38 million. And the last year of that deal is 50, and the whole thing totals 221, and then all of a sudden there's no insurance recovery for any of that because it's a new contract. So I think it would be advantageous for the Warriors, assuming they want to keep him for real long term, no matter what the cost, for him to stay on his current deal and then do a new deal at the end of that.
Tom, since we're talking about free agents, where do you think this season has left Boogie Cousins as he looks ahead to free agency?
Well, I don't even know, Mike. I think he showed he can, hold up and play games, so that was good. And with the blow that these two guys, let's assume they don't move, or even if they do move, we know they don't play. So they're not immediate help for anybody else. And Boogie's agent's going to say, hey, he's at least immediate help who's going to come in and play. And I think with both New York teams, both L.A. teams with major room, plus all the others, I think it's highly likely somebody says, okay, let's give Boogie a significant deal. I don't know that it's a full max deal, but it's deep into the double digits. And I think the fact that he did play as many meaningful minutes as he did in the finals will help rehabilitate his value on the market.
Great information right there. He will be a staple throughout the draft and free agency. He's Tom Penn. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you soon.
All right, guys.
For your viewing pleasure, we grant you all access to the closing of the Oracle and the Court.
A city, a province, a country celebrates.
Your 2019 Bill Russell Finals MVP is Kawhi Leonard.
I just kept working hard, and had my mind set on this goal right here. And, you know, this is what I play basketball for. This is what I work out for. And I'm happy that my hard work paid off.
They counted us out, man. They said we couldn't do it. We did it, baby. Toronto's for you, baby. We're here now. We on top, P. We on top, baby.
Go around with emotions. It's what you work for. We're grinding so hard this year, the ups and downs, injuries, new team. And just to be able to come out and finish it off, man, it's unbelievable.
Feels amazing. It's great. I love it. You gotta enjoy it.
Kyle Lowry, Toronto Raptors. Fred, how does it feel to be a world champion?
It's unbelievable, man. It's unbelievable.
Yes! You got it.
Woo! I've been floating for the past hour. I haven't touched the ground yet. I won't touch the ground in a couple of days.
Seeing where I'm from there to a world champion, God bless me. Thank you.
It's a tough feeling, you know, being on this side of losing in the finals. We'll be thinking about this one. It's tough, but our DNA and who we are and you know, the character that we have on this team, really proud of the way that we fought to the end. We've had a lot of great memories in this building. Hopefully every fan appreciates the journey and the ride. And every fan that was watching turned the page to bigger and better things coming for this franchise.
The Raptors parade is Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern, and you can see it all right here on NBA TV. So with that said, joining us on Game Time, we are delighted to have the voice of the Raptors, Matt Devlin. Now, you've been with the organization forever. You've seen it all. Share with our audience, number one, the feeling of that burning champagne and the feelings of emotion you experienced when that clock struck triple zeros and it became official that the Raptors were world champs.
Well, you know, it's a unique experience, you know, calling games for the Toronto Raptors because unlike in the United States, we get to call the games all the way through the finals for the country of Canada. And so it's really special, and it's a wonderful ride that, you know, all the fans in Canada were certainly a part of, and you feel that connection. You feel the connection that they have with the team and the team has with them, and it's a wonderful fan base. And as all three of you know, you've seen the fans, you know, in Oracle or whether it's, you know, back at Scotiabank Arena. So it's just a spectacular evening, and, you know, to be a part of the first ever NBA championship for the Toronto Raptors.
Matt, Steve Smith, congratulations. You've been with this organization. You saw the progression, and then you got a chance to see some up and downs in the playoffs. When the regular season started, Matt, in your opinion, when was it in your mind that you knew this team had a chance to win the NBA Finals?
Well, I think, Steve, at the beginning of training camp, you felt that this team had the opportunity to get to the Eastern Conference Finals. And then I think ultimately when Masai Ujiri and Bobby Webster made the deal for Marc Gasol, I think that was certainly a significant move. You know, Mike, you know, Fratello, Czar, you certainly know Mark well. You know the character that he brings. You add that to the best two-way player in the game in Kawhi Leonard, along with Kyle Lowry, the emergence of Pascal Siakam. And at that time, you and Fred VanVleet, how can you forget about Fred and Serge? But at that time, you know, I really felt like, okay, this team has an opportunity to get to the NBA Finals, and once there, certainly an opportunity to win it all. They kept on getting better, and I think that that's really what was significant as the postseason went along. And as all three of you know, it's a 2-month process to get to this point. And against Orlando, Philadelphia, Milwaukee, and then ultimately Golden State, the team played multiple styles. They had a versatile roster that allowed them to go big or go small. And Nick Nurse really did a wonderful job coaching throughout all, 4 series. And ultimately the team won it. But I think February 9th, when Marc Gasol was traded, you then knew that, okay, this team has a chance to go to the NBA Finals, and once there, they have the opportunity to win it all, and they certainly did.
Matt, I miss doing the playoff games with you, whether it be on TNT or NBA TV, but I guess it's okay if I let you stay there and do the local games all the way through the World Championship. I think that's a special exception.
Why
But
didn't you join us, Czar?
I wish you would have invited. But, winning the championship is now old news, so we have to move on. And probably the biggest question that you'll be asked over and over again is, what do you think is going to happen with Kawhi Leonard?
Well, I think, Czar, that at the end of the day, only he knows at this point. I think the organization really feels good that about him staying. I think that we could certainly have a conversation about building a case for him to stay, right? You have the director of sports science and Alex McKechnie, his relationship with Alex, the trust level there, the comfort level within the organization. Also, from a financial standpoint, the ability to offer more than any other team. And then also, you have this roster that essentially is all coming back for next year, and the chance to defend your title, chance to repeat is certainly there. So I think they have a really good sense and feel that Kawhi will stay. If he ultimately goes, you would believe everybody is saying, well, he's going to go home, right? And you can't fault anybody for wanting to go home, but I think that, for the Toronto Raptors, they believe that he's somebody that, will ultimately make the decision to stay. And a lot of that has to do with the trust and the comfort level that he has within this organization.
Talking about a trust and comfort level, I have to ask you about Masai Ujiri. Rumors about Washington potentially offering a position to come join them. What are your thoughts on him potentially leaving to join the Wizards?
Well, I just like the three of you, read Adrian Wojnarowski's post last night reporting it. And so it's kind of new information. So I really wouldn't have any sort of speculation as, to what, he would decide, other than to say that Larry Tannenbaum, did come out and say that, Masai has everything that he wants with the Toronto Raptors. He's done, as we all know, a remarkable job here. You think back to when he took the organization over 6 years later, getting him to this point, making hard decisions last offseason that traded DeMar DeRozan, replacing Dwayne Casey with Nick Nurse. But he kept on saying, Masai would always say, we will win, we will win. And he was right. I mean, he made some big moves, as we know, not only last offseason, but during the season to ultimately get this championship. And he was a key reason why, the Raptors won this.
Well, the Raptors title
architect.
Definitely the architect. Well, the Raptors title parade is 10 a.m. on Monday. It'll be here on NBA TV. He's Matt Devlin. Hey, Matt, enjoy this weekend and Monday's festivities as well. Good work today. We'll see you soon.
All the best.
Indeed, indeed. Coach and company break it all down in the film room. Here's a piece of what you'll see on that outstanding program tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern on NBA TV. Take a look.
Czar, what do you have?
Let's take a look at the play they drew up. Iguodala with the basketball out of bounds. Look at all this open space here on the other side of the floor. Well, there's a reason for that, because Green is going to come along the baseline as Cook is coming in the opposite direction. Green actually turns and screens in the defender. Iguodala is throwing to a spot. What he's doing is he knows that he has to get the basketball to that spot because that's eventually where Green is going to be. But don't forget who the main guy is. He's hidden right down in here, and that is Steph Curry. And there's a big guy out here who might be looking at coming in there to headhunt him. Take a look. Curry, here's the pick. They try to get him free right there.
Number one, that's an outstanding breakdown by the czar, the telestrator. We've been talking about this on and on in the back, and we've even been talking about it out here. Coach, I'll start with you. Just the shot in general, was that the right shot to take in that situation?
Whenever Steph Curry shoots the ball, it's the right shot. Because as we've heard over and over again, this is the best shooter in basketball we're talking about. Did he have time for other options? Yes, he did. He could have, as he does occasionally, caught it on the run and kept going. All right? He had decided, I think, speaking for him, that he had such a clear look, he could stop, elevate, and knock it down. Ibaka was the guy that got caught. He needed to switch out immediately as soon as he saw the screen on his guard. But Ibaka kind of just dropped back for a second, not realizing it. And then it was like, oh, I'm supposed to be up there switching out on him. He got a wide open look at the basket.
Yeah, he did, Coach, and I thought it was an excellent play drawn up by Steve Kerr. Excellent catch by Draymond. Even though Iguodala made the pass, he pinned him. It was a little bit off mark. But I thought Steph, he got a clean look, but would have loved to see him pump fake because you're only down one. You didn't need a 3 to tie or a 3 to win. Pump fake, jump into Serge Ibaka. You automatically go into the free throw line. I think Steph was going to make 2 out of 3, maybe 3 out of 3, or he had the option to drive the basketball because there was so much time left to get all the way close enough to the basket. But you will always settle for a pretty clean look for Steph Curry from behind the 3.
Tough situation. He was 0 for 4 under 6 minutes at that point, so maybe you want to see him do something different, but like Coach said, he's still the best shooter of all time. Well, he joined Steve Kerr and Ty Lue as one of the latest first-year head coaches to capture that coveted Larry O'Brien trophy. We learn a little bit more about the man in the glasses. Nick Nurse coming up next on Game Time.
Much they want to win.
And he's got an incredible competitive spirit.
We, the North, are now we, the champions.
Brought one home, not just for us, but for a whole country. Special to be a part of.
Feels awesome. They deserve it.
Never let nobody tell you you can't do something special.
The country loves the Raptors, and now they get to celebrate as champions, and I'm super happy for them.
Well, it's hard to calculate the impact this team will have in Toronto and throughout Canada.
Looking forward to getting on the plane, get back to Toronto, and celebrate with the fans in the city and the country.
Nick Nurse, truly impressive. Started last year when he coached the Summer League. He wanted to actually go out there and coach those players and get that experience, perform admirably in the finals. We talked about that boxing one defense that a lot of people haven't seen since high school. What was the most impressive thing about Nick Nurse that you saw in the finals?
I think the way he handled himself, Coach, and rolled through adversity. A couple times when Fred VanVleet wasn't playing well, people were calling for Jeremy Lin. He stayed with him. I think also it was a big move. They've been playing extremely well in the regular season. You make a trade for Marc Gasol. He immediately put Marc Gasol in the starting lineup. And there was a little bit of people saying Serge should still start. He just never wavered on what he believed in his team. And then also give him credit, Coach. He's been in this coaching game. He got his first head coaching job right out of college at 23. He's assistant coach for his alma mater. It's just coaching in his blood, and I think he did a fantastic job.
Think of what he stepped into as far as the pressure. I am replacing the person that I've worked for the last few years. He was just named Coach of the Year, and now they get rid of him and name me as the head coach. What that tells you is that Masai Ujiri, who had the feeling that he needed to make change, and there are many reasons that people make changes, but that wouldn't have been done if Ujiri had not gone to the players and watched practices every day and saw what Nick Nurse contributed to the program, and then feedback from the players. When you're just having conversation after practice one day, just talking, you see whether the players have respect for that person. And then when he felt it was the time, he thought Nick Nurse had the experience in other places, but in watching him work with these players, he knew they would accept his teaching. They believed in him, that he was a good coach, a good teacher, and that he could make good game adjustments. And to go along with what you said, how many guys would take your starting 2 guard in the finals after he plays the first half and say, you sit down to start the second half. We're going to put in this guy, Van Vliet, and let him start the second half, along with the boxing one who, according to what I read, they had not practiced it before. He drew it up in the huddle and said, let's go try this. Imagine the guys going out there going, do we know our responsibilities? But he was willing to try, and it was great. He did an incredible job.
Incredible job drawing up the plays and, of course, managing those players as well. Now, there's Prince and there's Beyonce, there's Drake, there's LeBron, and then there's Zion. He's a part of the single name club. Powerful and smooth. I love his sense of history. Now, assuming he's drafted first overall by the Pelicans, by the way, shout out to David Griffin, the lucky humans rabbit foot. What can a player of this caliber do for that franchise, seeing the fallout and everything negative that happened with Anthony Davis?
Well, I think this player could do a lot for any franchise just because of, one, his ability right now, Coach, what he brings to the table, but also still a guy that we know will probably be the #1 pick. But also he still has a tremendous upside. What I love about him, Coach, is his approach, his character. You know, the talent is there. We have never seen anything with this size, the way he's attacks and plays this type of force. But I still think his jump shot can improve, his handle can improve, his defense can improve, his rebounding can improve. And then when you, by saying all that, he's still pretty spectacular, Ro, and you still have a huge room to grow, which the potential could be unbelievable if all that stuff started to come together.
That's so true, because I was blessed to coach a Hall of Fame player in Dominique Wilkins. And when I coached Dominique, it was his second year in the NBA. Dominique it was an adventure for him to dribble the ball from half court to the basket. And everybody prayed that he shot a jump shot, because he was maybe a 40%, 38% jump shooter at the time. He wound up to become not only a good medium range shooter, but a really good three-point shooter, shot over 80% from the foul line, and was a Hall of Fame player. This young man is what you call a franchise player, because he has the qualities to not only excite people, bring them in, fill the seats, but he helps his team win. He plays both ends of the floor, and he has an exuberance for the game that people want to see. They love to watch players that smile, Steph Curry, but then at the same time, they stab you when they have to.
We'll definitely see if he has that killer instinct. Do remember the draft next Thursday. Now, do not want to miss free agency fever. All those men on the screen will be available and ready to sign. Don't want to miss it. Now, let's take it to the Twitter. What's the latest? Our colleague Chris Haynes, Yahoo Sports. Jimmy Butler intends to decline the $19.8 million player option and go ahead and step out and test free agency. So as we see on the screen, a couple of big names. You see Jimmy Butler up there, Kyrie Irving, Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant, who just got done playing in the finals, your finals MVP, Kemba Walker, Boogie Cousins. We asked about him earlier when we talked to Tom Penn. So, Coach, I'm going to start with you. We see all these gentlemen on the screen. Is there anybody that you think is missing?
I'll give you one that's missing. He's probably not on the screen because he's a little bit older in age, but this guy is a flat-out winner. I'm talking about Al Horford, who has, I believe, a player's option coming up. This guy, every place he goes, they win a lot of basketball games. He plays at both ends of the floor. He's a big man who can play the 4 or 5 position. At the 5s, you got to guard him out by the top of the circle, three-point line. So if you're looking for a guy to win and be a catalyst for your team, he's somebody you got to think about.
Al Horford led the team, as far as the Celtics go, was looked at as the leader on that team. Someone who was also on that team is Kyrie Irving, clearly opting out. We see him switch to Rock Nation. Smitty, you see him switching his agent, a guy who got him out of Boston, got him the movie deal. You see that move to Rock Nation, and it makes you say what?
Well, I think for me is he was unhappy with the people he had before, and he's looking right now to make a change, and obviously he wasn't happy from something with his agency. You know, there's rumors floating out there that the Brooklyn Nets, obviously he's an unbelievable talent. It's going to be interesting right now is, can Kyrie lead a team, or does Kyrie need someone else to help him? But we know he's a phenomenal, player. Then you have Kawhi, and obviously we talked about that. But then the guy who I think is going to have a lot of teams coveting him is a Chris Middleton. One, he's a guy who's 27, 28 years old, can flat out shoot the basketball and can play the 2 or 3. And I think a lot of guys need some spot-up shooters.
Chris Middleton made it from the G League to the All-Star game. And by the way, Kyrie signed with Rock Nation. Kevin Durant's always also with Rock Nation, just to put that on there. We're back to put a bow on the show. That is the Larry O'Brien Trophy. They are celebrating NBA history. You know exactly what happened. The Black Cat.
Mid-range. Look at the score. It was in the 80s.
That little hand in the butt didn't affect anything, did it? Watch.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You just got his balance. That was just a balance.
Getting his balance. Yeah.
Getting his balance.
Got a wide open look, though.
Wide open look.
Wide open look. That's what you want to see, Mike. The storybook ending. That was a classic moment. Before we get out of here, hey. This NBA Finals, do you think the fans were deprived of any seeing that we didn't get a full string KD and a completely healthy roster with Golden State going against Toronto?
You always want to see, all teams full healthy. But I think if you get a Toronto Raptors, just got to give them credit. The way they came out and played extremely well. But I take my hat off to the Warriors, how they competed with all the injuries and adversity.
You could have not asked the Warriors to do any more than they did, and the Raptors won a championship. They deserved it.
They definitely deserved it, and they earned it. Hey, for Smitty, for Coach, I'm Ro P. We're out of here. We'll see you soon.